By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to read your body's ovulation signals, the 5 signs most women miss every single month, and why recognizing them matters way more than you think. I'm going to walk you through 3 levels of signals, from the obvious ones to the ones your doctor probably never mentioned. So grab a cup of tea, sit back, and let's decode what's really happening inside your body right now. Here's something most women never learn in health class. Your body starts talking to you about ovulation almost 2 weeks before it actually happens. That cervical mucus you've been noticing around the middle of your cycle, that's not random discharge. That is your body literally producing a fertility-friendly solution right now, preparing the way for potential conception. In the 5 to 6 days leading up to ovulation, rising estrogen levels trigger the glands in your cervix to produce mucus that looks and feels like raw egg whites, clear, stretchy, watery. This is your body's most reliable fertility signal, and it's completely normal. But here's where it gets interesting. The pattern of that mucus actually tells you something very specific about where you are in your cycle. In the early follicular phase, you might notice nothing at all, a dry or tacky feeling. Then, as estrogen starts climbing, the mucus becomes creamier, more white or yellow. Right before ovulation, it transforms into that characteristic stretchy, clear discharge. And if you touch it between 2 fingers, it stretches without breaking. The journal Fertility and Sterility published research showing women who tracked cervical mucus changes correctly identified their fertile window with 89% accuracy. 89%. That is way better than the calendar method alone, which only achieved about 50%. Dr. Tony Belfort, a reproductive endocrinologist at the Medical College of Wisconsin, calls it one of the most reliable biomarkers we have for predicting ovulation. The texture change happens because sperm can actually swim through this particular mucus. Your body is quite literally clearing a path. Now there's another signal that goes hand in hand with the mucus changes. Your basal body temperature, your BBT, drops slightly right before ovulation and then spikes upward by 0.3 to 0.5 degrees Fahrenheit afterward. This is because progesterone, released after the egg drops, raises your core temperature. You need a special basal thermometer, the kind that reads to the 100th of a degree. And you have to take your temperature first thing in the morning before you even sit up in bed. A study from the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences found that women who tracked their BBT for 3 months correctly identified their ovulation day about 80% of the time. That's powerful information when you're trying to conceive. But it's even more powerful when you're just trying to understand your own body. So you know about the mucus and the temperature. But there's a third sign that gets mentioned way less often. And if you've ever felt it, you probably wondered if something was wrong. Mittelschmerz. It's a German word meaning middle pain, and it refers to the mild cramping or twinging sensation on one side of your lower pelvis that happens right around ovulation. About 40% of women experience it at some point, though many never connect it to their cycle. The sensation happens as the follicle swells and eventually ruptures, releasing the egg. Sometimes you feel it on the left, sometimes the right, sometimes both. It's brief, usually lasting a few minutes to a couple hours, and it's completely normal. Dr. A. Valerie Williams at Johns Hopkins puts it this way: your body is doing something extraordinary every single month. That little twinge is just the byproduct of an egg being released. It's a sign that everything is working exactly as it should. Okay, so you know the mucus, the temperature, and the Mittelschmerz. But there are 2 more signals that often fly under the radar entirely. The first one is breast tenderness or sensitivity. Right after ovulation, progesterone levels surge, and progesterone has a well-documented effect on breast tissue. You might notice your breasts feeling fuller, heavier, or more sensitive to touch in the week between ovulation and your period. This is sometimes called cyclical mastalgia, and research in the British Journal of General Practice found that nearly 70% of women experience it at some point in their lives. The second subtler signal is a shift in your libido. Estrogen peaks right before ovulation, and that estrogen spike tends to increase sexual desire quite noticeably for many women. A study published in Hormones and Behavior showed that women reported a significant increase in sexual fantasies and desire during the 2 to 3 days surrounding ovulation. Your body is quite literally wiring you toward conception during that window. It is honestly kind of remarkable when you stop to think about it. If this is clicking for you, hit subscribe. I drop videos like this every week, and I've got plenty more to come. Okay, here's the piece that most fertility apps and even most doctors overlook entirely. The single most predictive sign isn't any one signal on its own. It is the combination of all of them working together. When you track cervical mucus alongside basal body temperature and you start to notice the timing of Mittelschmerz, those three data points together create a picture that is far more reliable than anyone alone. A 2024 study from the University of North Carolina followed 200 women who used what researchers called the Marquette method. That method combines fertility awareness tracking with hormone monitoring. And the women who tracked 3 or more biomarkers identified their fertile window with 94% accuracy. 94%. That is better than any single method alone, including expensive LH Surge predictor kits. Dr. Rebecca Chiksevsky, who led the study, put it this way: your body leaves fingerprints all over your cycle. The more of those prints you read together, the clearer the picture becomes. That is what most women never realize. The app alone cannot give you that level of accuracy. The strips alone cannot either. But when you learn to listen to all of them together, your body essentially hands you a map of your own fertility. The temperature spike confirms ovulation happened. The mucus tells you when your window opened. The Mittelschmerz confirms the release timing. Breast tenderness signals the progesterone surge. Libido spikes mark peak estrogen. Every single one of these is a piece of the puzzle. And the puzzle becomes complete when you start seeing them as a system rather than isolated events. So here is what you can do starting today. Pay attention to your mucus around days 10 through 14. Start charting your basal temperature each morning. Notice if you feel that subtle twinge on one side around the middle of your cycle. Keep notes. Use an app if that helps. But trust what your body is telling you over what any algorithm says, because your body has been running this cycle for longer than any tracking technology has existed. It knows what it is doing. You just have to learn the language. If this video helped you see your cycle in a new way, share it with someone who deserves to understand her own body better. Hit like if you got value out of it, and subscribe. I've got something even better coming next week.